It is January 2023 and the market in Calgary, what is happening? Well, it's been a crazy year, so we're going to talk about some news articles, a couple hot topics right now, and then we're going to jump into some stats, some things that are happening, and stick around to the end because I do have a few things that you should watch for in 2023. So the first thing we want to talk about is, are interest rates going to keep rising? I mean, we've had a year of inflation, hot topics about the Bank of Canada. All of these things have been, we've never talked about these topics as much as we've ever talked about them in the last 20 years. And rightly so, because a lot of Calgarians, a lot of Canadians who are on variable interest rates have seen $500, $600, $700 a month increase in payments. New buyers coming into the market, their payments and monthly costs are a lot different than what it would have been a year ago. And we haven't really seen the full effect yet. Because again, if we've had interest rate increases in the last month or two, those aren't going to take effect until probably the next 6 months. So right now we are feeling the market from interest rates that happened maybe last summer, September, maybe even October, November, a little bit. But as we move into 2023, we're going to see this. And there's a lot of articles, like you can see right here, a lot of individuals. This is an individual from ratehub.ca, the CEO, and in our own mortgage brokers, bankers that we've talked to, all that kind of stuff, they're all saying the same thing. Interest rates most likely are not going to go down this year. And it's going to be, this is what we have. We might see another increase, but it's really hard to know. And so I think the biggest thing for 2023 with interest rates is the individuals who are okay with the rate that they're getting. Look at some of those shorter fixed term rates, because I don't know if variable is going to be the best thing for the short term, the foreseeable future, but even just doing kind of a 2-year fix, but those are also getting up there in prices. And so, because obviously the banks are pricing them accordingly, but it's one of these things that is just kind of, this is what's happening. This is where we're at. And so when you're looking at buying, or when you're making a change and you're buying and selling, having a plan is really, really important. And just doing your numbers, knowing your numbers. Don't just know your monthly payment and what you're actually going to be affording, but also look at what the cost is of that property that you're moving into. Look at all of those things because it comes into effect when you're trying to figure out what that property is. So the next thing is this here. This new foreign ban on buyers across Canada. So this started January 1st, 2023. They have rolled out some information on it, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this is gonna affect our market that much. Locally in Calgary, that is. We looked at our numbers and just kind of a quick review of how many actual buyers came over the last year or two that would not be able to buy over the next 2 years. And I could honestly only come up with maybe 4, maybe 5 actual buyers. And so our team actually helped nearly 460 families in 2022. So that's only about 1%. So we're talking a very, very small amount of buyers that are going to be taken out of the market. Now, the thing with this too is you can see here in this article on Global News, they ended up talking about some of the things that are basically apply to this. So what it means is, right here it says, this generally means that municipalities with a core population of less than 10,000 people will not be subject to the ban, whereas communities with a core population that is greater than 10,000 people will be impacted. So it's in these small areas, you can still have foreign buyers buy in these towns essentially, but not in larger cities. The foreign impact touches upon the federal government's desire to exempt certain recreational properties from the ban. However, it is noteworthy that some smaller municipalities where people own recreational property will still be affected. Because the other thing that it said in here too somewhere was that right here, recreational properties like cottages or lake houses will be exempt from the ban. So someone can still foreignly purchase a cottage or a lake house in Canada who isn't a primary residence here. They can still do that. So there you can see that the government's really trying to target cities, larger cities that are larger than 10,000 people as their core population, and trying to slow that down. I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's gonna make that much of an impact. It just is what it is. And finally, the last thing is in your mailbox. If you are a owner in Calgary, you are going to see your city assessment, your taxes coming out. And just today, the city of Calgary came out and said that they have on average about a 12% rise in city assessments. And so right here, the city's typical single residential property is now worth about $555,000, which is about a 14% increase compared to $485,000 last year. Now, when you get your city assessment, if you believe the value is really too high, then you can go and actually fight it at the city. You have to have documented proof, kind of have comparables and say, hey, you know what, you marked it as 650, but nothing has sold over 580, let's say, or whatever the numbers are. And so you can actually adjust it that way. But yeah, market has gone up, prices have gone up, and that is where we are at in Calgary. And I don't know if it's a horrible thing because we still have people who are moving here. And if you were planning on trying to make a change and figure things out over 2023, I think there's still gonna be a lot of demand. Now, that takes me to the numbers, so let's jump into that. So let's jump into the numbers. Let's take a look, and because now Calgary Real Estate Board has put out their numbers and we're able to get a sense of exactly what's happening. So if you watch these market videos, in the past, one thing we have noted is the sales versus new listings. So you can see on the screen there, when we ended up having some of these years when the number of new listings dropped below the number of sales over the Christmas months, the following year was still an increase in prices. So again, supply and demand. And as you can see, that is very much the case over this last Christmas. Krebs numbers showed just over 2,000 properties in the city. And as we jumped into early January, we actually dropped down into 1,900, 1,800 listings in the city. Now you have to also consider a few things. You have to look at a lot of listings could have expired when it comes time around this Christmas time. So people just taking it off the market. We haven't sold in a while, let's take it off. Let's just take a break for the week or two and come back on. So we do expect that we should see those number of listings coming back on, stuff that just got removed. But to be honest, there just isn't really great product priced properly out there right now. And if there is, it sells quickly. And that's why this sale number right here is actually still so strong. There are many, many buyers locally and from other places outside of our city who are watching and waiting for really good properties to come on the market. So if you are confused because you see these big headlines talking about, you know, the real estate is dead, things are slow, it's gonna decrease 20, 30%, like all these kind of crazy headlines that you're reading, you have to make sure that you look at a little bit deeper what's happening locally, because from peak of 2022 till now, it's only about a 5% drop that we've seen, but we're still somewhere like 7, 8, 9, 10% above where we were a year ago in terms of values. And in that same time period, we've seen Vancouver and Toronto drop anywhere 20+% from that peak to where we are today. And so we're in a very different market. We're in a different place. We have a lot of things going for Calgary right now, which is exciting. And so when we look at here, the month over month Calgary prices, you can see that they're kind of just jumping around a little bit in terms of median and average prices over the last couple months. And right here, the blue line is the benchmark price. And so it's kind of slowed down a little. It hasn't just been dropping. There's still that demand and there's still things that are pushing our market up and keeping things going. Now, as we jump into months of inventory, I mean, that says a lot. So if you don't know what this all is, under here, so down below, if you have the line down there, this is considered a seller's market. This is when there are more buyers than there are sellers. Balanced is in between here, and above this is in a buyer's market. And so the fact that since July, our market has been dropping and we now are still under 2 months of inventory sitting here, I mean, that says a lot, especially as we walk into the new year. This is one that we've been watching too. This is the number of listings per month. And so when you have the number of listings, this bright blue line is 2022. And this is the last, well, since 2013 is all of these lines here. And so you can see we are at, actually zoom in, we are near the bottom. There's only 1 or 2 little dots there that might be slightly less than what we are at now. And so the thing with this is the number of listings coming on the market is really low when you look over historically for the last 10 years. And then when you look at the number of sales that are happening, we're actually among the highest outside of 2021. And this time last year, this is when we started feeling the big push, the big momentum. 2021, throughout the year, there was a lot of things happening, a lot of buyers making changes, things figuring itself out. We took a little bit of a pause over the summer. It was really the first summer that a lot of people got back out. And then we kind of came into the fall of 2021 and things just kind of started taking off and getting a little bit busier as we got September, October. And then once we hit December, January, February, it was gone. We took off. And by June, or July, I should say, 2022, there was already about 21 or so thousand sales that happened in Calgary. And when you look backwards over the last 10 years, we've kind of averaged about 16 to 17,000 listings every year. So we already surpassed, those years by far. And 2021, there was about 21,000 listings sold. And by July of 2022, we already hit that. We ended this year just shy of 30,000 sales, and it was 29,000 something. And so the fact that that was a massive chunk of that was the beginning of this year, and then it slowed down through the last half of the year, it just kind of, we shouldn't have that same momentum going into 2023. And that's what this is showing. And you can see the blue line is more in line with a lot of the other years, and it's not nearly as high as 2021. And I'm thankful that it's not, because we don't want prices to go through the roof. We don't want things to go crazy, especially in a market where everything's going down. And so if we can have a stable market over 2023, that is going to be a fantastic thing, not only for you if you own, but if you're planning on upsizing, making that change, moving up to a new property. Because if you make a move and you move from one place to another place in the same market, it's really just like this. What I mean by this is the value of the higher priced home that you're moving into compared to the value of the price that you're in is going to be somewhat reflective and staying stable. And so if we end up having this shifting market where there's these gaps and things changing and it's really, really changing quickly, that makes it harder for you to want to make a move. But now we have an opportunity in 2023 where serious buyers are at the table, because they're the ones that are, looking at what they can afford. They're looking at what they can get for their interest rates. They might be coming with a lot more cash than what we've been used to. And these are the serious buyers that are showing up. And so it might be a fantastic opportunity for you to make that move up. If you are secure in your jobs and things are great at home in terms of, you just might need more space, all of those lifestyle situations, income situations, if they're in a good place, this might be the year for you to do that, because just the sheer lack of inventory and the high demand and that sale number that's still being as high as it possibly can with having such low inventory is such a key thing. As you can see here, the actives, so this is what I'm talking about when I say the number of inventory. So this blue line right here is the number of actives since August. Well, July is right here and this is August. But since the summer, it's been a steep decline from mid 4,000s to, as the end of December, it was about 2,100 listings or so. And the solds have not dropped nearly the same rate. And so there's still this upward pressure. This chart here shows the months of inventory, and it looks at if everything currently on the market would sell over the last 30 days, 7 days, 90 days, whatever the number is, how long would it take for it to sell? And when we looked at the 7-day number, so just a week over week over week kind of thing, it really did jump up. But it was Christmas, so that's expected. But the blue line underneath there, that is the 30-day, and it is solidly sitting under 2 months of inventory for across the city. And this here is something that the Alberta government just came out with. And so it's an interesting chart that you can pull up. You can just Google the net population movement for Alberta. And from July to September, these are all the numbers. So from the territories, BC, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and the Atlantic, and then there was 33,000 from international net migration. So there's a lot of people who are moving to Alberta. And this one here, the international net migration, that one surprised me. And I think this is gonna change over the next coming years, because those of you that are watching from out of country are starting to realize that moving into the big cities like Vancouver and Toronto are just not going to be affordable. And so if you want to learn more about affordability issues and whatever, head up to, over this way, head up to that link right there, because we shot a video where we went to the GTA and we talked about the affordability issues. And specifically it's about the GTA, but it basically is the same problem in Vancouver too. And so it kind of gives you an understanding of why these individuals and families are looking for more affordability. And it's a great example and understanding of where things are at. And so it's just a very interesting stat. People are moving here, and this is continuing to keep the demand high and supply low, which keeps our prices, at a flat level. And we might see some decreases this year, but we might also see some increases. It's really hard to know depending on what happens with interest rates, migration, all of these things. And so on that note, that is the video that I want you to watch. Head over here, learn about the problems in GTA, and understand why people are looking for affordability and why they're looking at Calgary to find that.